thing I wish I'd known as a new program director or as a program director over the years is really that time is my most precious resource. And I think what I mean by that is that program directors that are taking on new roles should not underestimate the protected time they need to do the job once they've gone through the startup or what we call honeymoon planning phase. I've made the mistake of decreasing my protected time, thinking that a position would take a lot less work once I had things up and going. But if anything, ironically, it's more work because it's more complex because you're dealing not just with startup, but ongoing issues as well as future planning. I think people should always listen carefully and talk to other program directors or people in similar positions. Find one or two buddies and ask them, how much time is this taken? How much time do you think that I should protect my time for or negotiate for when taking on a new role? And listen carefully to people because they'll say things to you like, you really need, although the position only pays you for 1 day a week, it's a 3-day-a-week job. And I've seen many competent physicians say, oh, no problem, I can do it in a day. It's not a big deal. And I kind of nod my head wisely. Okay, but I'm just warning you up front, you're going to need to decrease your clinical time in order to give this job the time it needs. So I tell people to plan ahead and to talk to other people and to listen carefully. I don't know if you guys have already had this one before, but my biggest challenge as a program director was definitely managing the learners through SARS. Dealing with SARS was a huge deal, where basically we had a life-threatening condition where we didn't have all the information that could affect our learners, our staff, our hospitals. And basically, we were getting new information daily, never mind hourly. It would change by the end of the day with regards to how our students had to protect themselves, whether they were allowed to even go to their rotations, what does this mean for their training. It was a really challenging and really interesting experience to go through. What SARS highlighted for us was the importance of strong communication systems for any sort of program director that's dealing with large populations. Our program, particularly at that time, I was helping with undergrad, would have 200 students in it. So you have to have a very quick system that can actually make sure that the students know what's going on in a short notice. So multiple ways of media, I think, are really important, whether it's via email, Twitter, a phone sort of calling line where one person would call 10 people and that kind of thing. And also, I think a home web page for any program is really essential for situations like this to disseminate information quickly in multimedia ways. Other big important lessons we learned from SARS was really that it was really important for the students not to get caught up in the hysteria and to have emotional support for them, for the students and the families and the staff. So I think that we did that well with role modeling. We had a lot of the directors of education programs who were on site at all the sites. We were giving daily updates, so they needed that as well to help them cope with this, because this lasted for about 4 months, that we were going through all these protocols and changing things very quickly, whether or not they could go to a rotation or not. We did have students who got sick with SARS during this time. One of the other important lessons we learned through SARS was the importance of having other good people who are willing to step up when you can't be there. For example, I was quarantined twice, and that meant that I had to be home for 10 days, and I couldn't actually go into the hospital. And during this time, I made sure that we had other people that were running the program, and we're in constant communication to make sure that things ran smoothly. I think one of the important things we learned from SARS was that we had to let go of the stoic physician role model, who I grew up in a generation where you always showed up for work, whether you were sick or not. And basically, this made us realize that, A, we can hurt other people by being ill ourselves and transmit things, and also it's not really good for our own well-being. So it was a real change and shift with regards to that kind of model that we had as physicians, that you go to work regardless of how ill you are or not. So a lot of lessons were learned from SARS, which were very positive, and it's held well for us going forward to other crises we've had to deal with, whether H1N1, infectious disease, or other big issues that happen in big cities, such as demonstrations or sort of catastrophe events.